What's going on, everyone? So the Milwaukee Bucks, yes, the Milwaukee Bucks, the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference, just decided to lose to the Washington Wizards, who had 14 wins. Now they're at 15 wins, but at the time they were at 14 wins. Now, look, I talk about it all the time. Any team on any given night can beat anybody, right? Am I surprised that Washington beat Milwaukee? No, not at all. Right? Good teams lose to bad teams all the time. The San Antonio Spurs nearly beat the Denver Nuggets in Denver with Jokic dropping 42 and 16, right? Any given night, any team can show up. These are all still NBA players. These are all still NBA talents. Anything can happen in the league. My concern, and the reason I'm even talking about this, is this yet again highlights an issue and questions that I have about the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, could this just be Milwaukee just not a great regular season team, right? Like, they're just this team that's just, they're there, right? They're talented, so they're going to be a top seed just purely on talent. They're going to win a couple games, but ultimately they need the playoffs, right? Because you do have Giannis, you do have Damian Lillard, you do have two guys that are known to just be them guys in the playoffs, who both of those guys should elevate come the playoffs. And how does that work? How does that dynamic shift? The problem is I feel like Milwaukee is really developing bad habits, and those can carry over and translate into the playoffs, right? They at times just look dead in the water, really. Like, they just look like a team that is just clueless, right? And it's not, it's just, it doesn't seem to work, right? It's like two magnets that you're trying to put together, and it's just, they're just doing this, right? They're just not being able to connect. And it's a lot of like, you go, I go, you go, I go. And there's moments where it looks good and it looks brilliant. You're like, oh, okay, there it is, right? There's the duo that people should fear. And then there's other times where it looks like two guys that are used to being the guy now trying to both be the guy in the same game, and it just doesn't work. And like, to put this in perspective, yes, Milwaukee, you look at them, 2 seed, which they're hanging on by a thread to the 2 seed. They could easily be overtaken and drop to the 3 seed. You have the Cavs, even the Knicks, who are hot right now. They're right on their tails. On top of that, I mean, it's still technically, but I don't think it will happen, but you never know, especially with this Milwaukee Bucks team. They could technically drop to the 5th seed. They're only 3 games ahead of the Knicks and the Magic. And they're only a game and a half ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So if Milwaukee goes on just like this little stretch here, where they just drop a couple games that they shouldn't, it's still not out of the realm of possibility. Again, my guess, they finish somewhere in that 2 to 3 spot. I don't really see them being overtaken. However, I do think if the Knicks were fully healthy, right, and even the Cavs maybe, that it's not far-fetched to think that the Bucks might have been the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference this year if everyone was healthy and all things played out the way that you anticipated, right? The Knicks were on a tear and looking like one of, if not the best teams in the league for a stretch. And then OG goes down, Randall goes down, right? They start losing guys and they're kind of scrambling. Where earlier it was like they were in the mix for the 2 seed. They were looking like a team that was maybe if not the second best team in the Eastern Conference. I just don't believe in Milwaukee. I don't like how their team is structured. I don't think that they have the complementary pieces around Damian Lillard and Giannis. And I don't. Could they win? Of course, right? You still have Chris Middleton, Giannis, Damian Lillard, Brook Lopez. I just would be a little surprised. Like, I'd just be like, okay. Like, again, I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be a little surprised. I don't think that they're going to be able to all of a sudden magically, when they get to the playoffs, right the ship. And all of a sudden everything's clicking and everything looks good, right? they're better than most teams, so they're probably going to be at worst the second round, maybe even the conference finals. But I wouldn't be shocked if I wouldn't bet them against the Knicks. I wouldn't bet them obviously against the Celtics, the Miami Heat. I wouldn't bet against them on the Sixers. I wouldn't bet against them on. There's 4 or 5 teams that I wouldn't bet on Milwaukee to beat. Could they and should they? Sure. But that doesn't mean that they will, right? And they have so many bad habits. Damian Lillard has not been the guy as advertised going into this season this year. He's been rocky, he's been rough. And there's the idea that he, come the playoffs, will get back to being that guy. But there's no guarantee, right? Like, we've never seen Dame in this situation. We've never seen Giannis necessarily in this situation. To me, I think that they're probably in the offseason are probably going to have to trade Middleton to really get the pieces complementary that they need. You have Dame and Giannis, right? Middleton, you're almost better off going and trading him and flipping him into 2 legit 3-and-D guys that you could put next to Dame, Giannis, and if you want to keep Lopez, you keep Lopez, right? Just using an example, right? Let's say you were able to flip, Middleton into KCP and whatever, some assets that maybe you could take and go get a Dorian Finney-Smith. Now I think you're terrifying because now you have Damian Lillard, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Dorian Finney-Smith, Giannis, and Brook Lopez, right? But right now it's your front line is Damian Lillard, who's an undersized guard that can't defend, and Malik Beasley, Malik Beasley, who is a guard that can't defend. And then your front court is Brook Lopez, who he's been awkward this year. Right? He's struggled to kind of fit it. There's times where he's out there trying to play hero ball and doing a little too much instead of just investing into his role. Right? So I don't know how that's going to work. But anyway, you have him and Giannis, right? Okay, that pairing is great. Problem is that it worked when you had a Drew Holiday who could be the point of attack, who could funnel the defense, who you had the perimeter defense, right? But now Brook Lopez, when he's able to kind of just have the offensive player funneled to him, and he's kind of the last line of defense, he can hold his own and he can have that impact. But when he's got to start shifting out and he's on an island with these guys because Dame and Beasley are just getting blown by, it's hard to put him in those actions, right? And then Giannis has been spectacular. Right? I think a lot of the reason Milwaukee's had the success they had is just because, Giannis is having a historically great season, literally, right? So I just think you add those factors. I don't see a way to fix this unless you go get those complementary pieces. Like I said, if you can go get a KCP, a legit 2-guard, 3-and-D that can be your point of attack, that can defend out on the perimeter, and then you go get a guy at the 3 spot that can, again, defend out on the perimeter, hit the 3 ball, to where Damian Lillard, he can kind of operate and do his thing, right? Now, he's not as much of a defensive liability because you have, a KCP, a Dorian Finney-Smith, a Giannis, a Brook Lopez, right? Now Damian Lillard's out there, he's doing his thing, and he also has the outlet pass to a, KCP who can knock down the 3 ball, or, Dorian Finney-Smith who can knock down the 3 ball, right? You start getting a little more complementary 2-way players. And I think the only way you're going to be able to do that is to flip Middleton into something. But it's just, Milwaukee just keeps showing these concerning traits. Again, it's not them necessarily losing to the Wizards. Again, that kind of stuff happens. That's fine. Okay. Right? It happens. It's the manner in which they lost and the way that they just keep playing this season. Right? To put this in perspective real quick, they are basically the exact same story as the Lakers. You go look at their records wise, and I'm not talking about their win-losses. I'm talking about you just look at the teams that they've played, the matchups and stuff like that. They are the exact identical team. Maybe I'll break that down and like another video. I don't want to spend another 20 minutes kind of breaking down and explaining that. If you want that, let me know down in the comments. I'm more than happy to like dedicate a video to that. But for me, it's like you look at them. Literally, the only difference is Milwaukee's played 5 worse teams than the Lakers. Their matchups against the top teams, the Lakers are better, right? Like Milwaukee in the West, like if you swapped the Lakers and Milwaukee right now, right? Let's say Lakers are in the East, Milwaukee was in the West to start this year. Milwaukee would be in the 9th seed where the Lakers are at. The Lakers would probably be the 2 seed, right? Because you would, if you flip those schedules, Milwaukee might even be worse, right? Because again, they had a much easier schedule than the Lakers. So to put that in perspective, because so many people are like, Lakers are trash. Okay, well, if the Lakers are trash, so is Milwaukee, because they're nearly identical. It's just one is playing in a much easier conference and has had a much easier schedule. And that's the only thing that's kind of saving them and keeping them afloat. Otherwise, if they were out west, they might not even be in the play-in, right? If you put it in comparison, because they haven't been very good. And these are the kind of things that are concerning. But anyway, again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So when you enjoy these types of videos, I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.